All right, I added a slide to section 4.1 because I realized that I didn't teach this part of rounding. And rounding's not really in section 4.1, but you're going to need rounding throughout this class, so it is a very important concept. There's a little bit back in chapter 1, I think, about rounding, but I'm just going to talk about converting to a percent and rounding it to the nearest tenth of a percent. And so that is one of the things you're going to have to do many, many times in this class. If you get a decimal answer when you're calculating something, then rounding it to the nearest tenth of a percent will be required. All right, so let's take a look at this first 0.5673. If I'm rounding to the nearest tenth of a percent, I first have to get it in percent form. Okay, so remember that we're going to multiply this by 100 or move the decimal place 2 places to the right and put the percent symbol on there. Then to round to the nearest tenth of a percent, I'm going to look at this digit and the 1 to the right of it, because a tenth of a percent means the tenths place once we've written it as a percent. So this would be then 56.7% when I round it, because the 3 tells me to not do anything to the 7, right? I don't have to add 1 or anything. So 56.7% when it's rounded to the nearest tenth of a percent. On the next one, I'm first going to rewrite it as a percent. So this is going to be 114.89%. And then I'm going to round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So put it in percent form, and then we'll do the rounding. So this becomes 114.9%, because the digit where I have the arrow at the 9 tells me to add 1 to the 8 to round this to the nearest tenth of a percent. On the next one, I'm going to first take 3 divided by 16, and that is 0.1875. That's supposed to be a decimal. And then I'm going to write it as a percent, right? So I'm going to move my decimal. Hold on, I'm going to fix this decimal here and make this 18.75%. Then we can round to the nearest tenth of a percent, which is in the sevens. The 7 digit is at the tenths. The 5 tells me to add 1 to the 7, so this becomes 18.8%. On to the 2/3. That would be 2 divided by 3. Now this is a repeating 6. So really you could just write out several digits. All right, this would be 0.6666. You need about 4 of them when you're going to do this type of rounding. So this would be 66.66%. And then we're going to round to the nearest tenth of a percent. So we have to look at the digit to the right of the decimal, and the one following it tells me to add 1. So this becomes 66.7% when rounded. All right, so that is a very important concept, and for whatever reason I had left it off of my PowerPoint. So I'll end this video now.